Hello, wrestling fans, and welcome to the latest edition of the We Can't Wrestle podcast. Nate Maxon, your host, here with you, and this week I am flying solo. So this is going to be a pretty short episode of the show. But since I didn't have any co-hosts or anything available this week, things happen. I figured I'd get on and maybe just dribble on a little bit about my chain of thought, my train of thought here in the We Can't Wrestle podcast. I hope everybody has been enjoying our Clash of the Champions series, and we will be back soon enough with Clash of the Champions 25. Also, if you did not know, we have a new format for Reliving the Extreme over on that channel. Reliving the Extreme, the ECW podcast has now gone to a monthly format, and that will actually drop this Friday. The first of the monthly format will drop this Friday, Halloween, October 31st. Instead of weekly, we are doing monthly. So we're going to cover the month of June 1997 this month on Reliving the Extreme, July next month, etc., so forth and so on. So, now that I filled the room with words there, yes, Reliving the Extreme is going on once a month now. A couple of things I wanted to bring up from the modern product. We don't talk about the modern product a lot on the show. We're more of a classic wrestling podcast. But I did want to mention a couple things that have caught my attention the past few days. Apparently there are some vignettes out there on the WWE's Twitter page of just somebody's shoes. Somebody's shoes walking. Okay. So the speculation is that may be Chris Jericho returning to WWE for the first time since 2018. I've also heard that maybe this could just be vignettes for Gunther, which would also make sense because they're going to need to hype him up if he is actually going to be John Cena's final opponent in December. Now, back to the Jericho thing. Is Jericho coming back to WWE? And what do we feel about that? How do we feel about that? I feel it's what all of them do. That's what all of them do. They get disenfranchised or they get disenchanted with WWE or WWE gets disenchanted with them. And then they leave and they go away and they go to some other promotion where they talk about how the WWE is the evil empire and it stinks and it sucks and blah, blah, blah. And inevitably, they have their big, I am so happy to be home promo when they return to the WWE. I'm not judging. I'm just saying it is that thing where those people, especially the high-level people, like really, really, they act like they hate the WWE when WWE doesn't want them or they aren't, or they're disenfranchised with what's happening in their career. But they know where their bread is buttered. They know they'll eventually be back and that they will, like I said, say it's so good to be home where the real wrestling is in the WWE. It is what it is. Now, one return that I am very happy about, actually, is I was very excited on last week's SmackDown. I guess that's not this past Friday's SmackDown, but the SmackDown before, to see the return of Ilya Dragunov as he defeated Sami Zayn for the United States Championship. I am a huge fan of Ilya Dragunov, and I'm very excited to see him back on the main stage, back with the championship. And I'm very excited to see where his career progresses, the career of Ilya Dragunov in WWE, because, again, huge fan of the guy. Guy I'm not a fan of, Andrade. Andrade's doing this thing right now where it seems like, okay, he was with WWE or he was with AEW and then he left AEW and went to WWE and then WWE fired him, so he went back to AEW and now it sounds like he might be going back to WWE. My big thing is, I don't know why either one of these companies want him. He's fucking boring. I'm sorry. Andrade's boring. He does nothing for me. I don't know why he's this guy that these companies argue over. He has, I don't know. Maybe there's something I don't see. To each their own. I say that all the time. Everybody's not a fan of everything. But I don't see the Andrade thing. I just don't get it. Something else I'm really into right now that a lot of you may have heard me mention quite a bit on the show in the past 9-10 months is in the year of 2025, I have gotten back into TNA wrestling for the first time in, I don't know, probably since maybe just before or just during COVID. And I really enjoy TNA. I quit watching AEW a couple of years ago because I realized that I was watching something I didn't like, and I was like, why am I wasting 3 hours a week and then even a pay-per-view that are like 19 hours long, watching a product I just don't like. And again, it's like I always say, there's something for everybody. There are people out there that really like AEW. More power to you. If you're an AEW guy, be an AEW guy. You do you. I don't like it. I have no idea what's going on there. I see things, obviously, we see clips. I know who the champions are and such, but I don't really know what's going on, and I don't care to know. I really, again, not a fan. Back to what I was saying, though. I have really gotten back into TNA the past year, kind of as the other promotion that I watch other than the WWE. And TNA, I think, personally, is doing really well. I enjoy watching the show, including the WWE programs that I watch, because I do some WWE stuff like SmackDown or Raw. There's parts of the shows I fast forward through. I don't want to watch it. I don't care to watch it. I find myself, TNA's Impact is the weekly wrestling show I find myself watching and not fast forwarding. I like the way the show's paced. I like the way it's booked. It's booked more like kind of like an old school wrestling show. I mean, there are new school elements like the long drawn out promo at the beginning of the show some weeks and everything. I mean, it is what it is. That's the business now. But I really enjoy TNA, and I really did enjoy the Bound for Glory pay-per-view just recently. I like the direction of the company. I like Leon Slater as the X Division champion. I will be happy and nothing against the NXT, but I will be happy when the NXT versus TNA storyline kind of goes away, so TNA guys can get back to doing their TNA thing. I thought the Hardys and the Dudleys for their quote unquote last match was pretty darn good as a showcase, like a greatest hits, I guess you would, for the Hardys and the Dudleys. Mike Santana as the world champion. We'll see. I'm not completely sold on him yet as the top guy, but you don't know until you know. So I'm willing to give it a shot, let it play out. I actually really, if the opportunity presented itself, if I was going to say there's a guy that I think should be the world champion in that company now, it would actually be to flip the TNA International title with the world title. I'd like to see Steve Maclin as the TNA World's Champion, but that's just me. Again, we'll see where things go with Santana. Maybe he'll do a great job, and I'll be really impressed. So I'll wrap up here by talking about one of my favorite things coming up. In the month of November, the ballots will go out for the 2025 We Can't Wrestle podcast Hall of Fame, baby. Yes, that's right. The ballots are going out. And then I just wanted to mention the ballots, or the Hall of Fame as of last year. As of the end of last year, of course, Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair, The Undertaker, Bobby Heenan, Andre the Giant, Randy Savage, Vince McMahon Jr., Steve Austin, Terry Funk, Dusty Rhodes, Bruno Sammartino, Jerry Lawler, Harley Race, Jim Cornette, Bret Hart, Lou Thez, The Road Warriors, Roddy Piper, Shawn Michaels, Gene Okerlund, Fred Blassie, Buddy Rogers, Kurt Hennig, Paul Heyman, Nick Bockwinkel, Bruiser Brody, Stu Hart, The Junkyard Dog, The Sheik, the original Sheik, Gorilla Monsoon, Ted DiBiase, Sting, and then, of course, rounding it out, last year's inductees, Ricky Steamboat, Sensational Sherry Martel, The Midnight Express, Arn Anderson, Bob Backlund, Ravishing Rick Rude, The Von Erichs, and John Cena. Now, this year's ballot, so far, we have to add 7 names to the ballot this year. We have to add 7 names to the 20-person ballot. There are already 13 that are still on from last year or years prior. And as I always say, someone gets to be on the ballot for 5 years. If they do not get voted in within that 5 years, they fall off, have to go back through the nomination process. Last year, a guy that I was trying to get in for those first 5 years of our Hall of Fame, Ricky Dozon. He was on for 5 years. He didn't make it. He fell off. Of course, I'm going to try to nominate him for the ballot again. With the nominating committee this year, we'll see if he makes the ballot. But it pissed me off that Ricky Dozon didn't get in. But this year's ballot so far, these 2 men have been on the ballot for 5 years. So if one of these two do not get in, or either of these two do not get in, they will fall off the ballot and have to go back to the nominating process next year. It's Mick Foley and The Rock. On the ballot this year for their 4th year will be Big Van Vader and Sergeant Slaughter. And then the rest of these nominees have been on the ballot for 3 years so far. It's Rey Mysterio Jr., Antonio Inoki, Chris Jericho, Trish Stratus, Kane, Jimmy Hart, Gorgeous George, Eddie Guerrero, and Buddy Rose. So that's it. That's the Hall of Fame so far for this year. That's the ballot. We have, like I said, we'll have 7 more names to hit the ballot this year. The nominating committee has their homework to do. They're supposed to have everything back to me by the end of this week, and then I can put the final ballot together and send the ballot out to all of the We Can't Wrestle podcast voters. If you would like to be on, if you would like to receive a ballot for the We Can't Wrestle podcast Hall of Fame, I am willing to send ballots out to people that I know are fairly knowledgeable about wrestling. So if you listen to this show and you want me to send you a ballot to vote for the Hall of Fame, shoot me a message. Shoot me a message on Facebook. Of course, it's Nate Maxon. It's the WNR Podcast Network on Facebook. The Facebook group is the WNR Podcast Network. You can email me at wecan'twrestle@gmail.com or just send me a DM on Facebook. That's fine. I look at all of them, even message requests, just in case we're not friends on Facebook or what have you. And then that's it. That's going to be it for this week. I do want to mention that if you do live in the West Central Ohio area, I am a realtor locally here in West Central Ohio with Schrader Realty. And just wanted to put it out there, if any of you need, if you're looking to buy or sell right now, if you need help with that, I am here. You can call me at 419-905-3394 or email me at maxon.nate@gmail.com. I'm here to help if you are looking to buy or sell a home. I'm just letting you know. That being said, I'm going to sign off this week for the We Can't Wrestle podcast. We'll be back next time around with Clash of the Champions number 25. And again, join us this Friday for the new format. The monthly format we'll be launching for Reliving the Extreme. On that note, I wish you all a fair and wonderful week, and we'll see you next time around here on the We Can't Wrestle podcast.